Hello my people. So today let me show you how you can create a data model in Excel using Power Pivot. So a data model is just a connection of different sheets that have been connected together using a common key for you to run the analysis using all the sheets in that particular data model without necessarily doing merging or appending. So what you do, for example, I have this data for Equity Afya workbook. It contains sheets like sheets for pharmacy, for patients, for lab, for billing, for admissions, and so on. So in case you want to create a data model, the first thing is to identify a common key in all the sheets. And when you look at these particular sheets, you can notice that the common key is the patient ID. For example, in the admission, you notice that there is patient ID. When you go to billing, there is patient ID. When you go to lab data, there is patient ID. Then when you go to patients, there is patient ID. Then when you go to pharmacy data, you notice that there is patient ID. So that is a common key that we are going to use to create our data model. So the first thing is to do is to add our main data to the data model. So you just click patients, then you go to Power Pivot up here. Then you click add to data model. Then it's going to open the Power Pivot interface. So that is the first sheet that has been added to the model. We go back to other sheets here. We add the pharmacy sheet, so just click add to data model. We go back to the third sheet, that is the lab data, add to data model. You notice now our model contains 3 sheets. We continue, the fourth sheet is the billing, add to data model. Then the last sheet will be for admissions. Also you click add to data model. After doing that, now we come here to Power Pivot, and you notice that we have now our 5 sheets. The main sheet, then you have the secondary sheet, that is the pharmacy, lab, billing, and admissions. And remember, we have the common key, which is the patient ID, that is going to assist us to create a data model that you are going to use it to make an analysis or to run analysis on these different sheets. So what you do, just click here on the diagram view so that you can view the data in a diagram format. Then I can reduce the size so that you can view all the data like this. Then after doing that, now we can start to create relationship. So Power Pivot performs one-to-many relationships, whereby we have one main data and it is connected to different sheets. For example, in this case, the patient's data is our main data. So these are the secondary sheets that we are going to connect it to the main data using the patient ID. So let's start with the pharmacy. You just click patient ID, then you drag it on the patient ID of the main data, then it is going to create the first relationship, number 1. The second thing, we go to lab data, you drag it to the patient ID of the main data, then it is going to create the second relationship. Then we are going to do billing also, patient ID, we connect it with the patient ID of the main data, then that is the third relationship. Then lastly, we're going to do the admissions with the main data, that is the patients, then that will be the fourth relationship. So this is now what we call a data model, containing different sheets, one main sheet and the other 4 other sheets, and the 4 other sheets have been connected to the main sheet using a common key. In this case, it is called a data model. Now using this data model, you can create pivot tables, you can run your analysis, for example, pivot charts and so on. So in case you want to run the pivot table, just go to pivot table, you click pivot table, then you click new worksheet. Then as you can see, these are now all the sheets. You can decide to analyze data from the patient sheet. For example, let's say we drag county to the rows. Then we can go to another sheet. For example, let's say admissions, and we pick like admission ID to put it on the values. And you notice that we have created a pivot table for the count of admissions per each county. So that is how a data model assists us to run analysis on different types of sheets all together. So that is how to do the pivot table using a data model. You can also insert the pivot chart here. Just click pivot chart, then you click the chart that you want, then you click OK, and that will be the pivot chart. So that is how to create a data model using Power Pivot, and from the data model now you can create your pivot tables and also pivot charts. Yeah, thank you.